Well, hello. It's great to have the opportunity again to talk to all of you and update you on what's going on here at our Ralph H. Johnson VA Medical Center. So let me give you some numbers and then talk a little bit about where we are. But let me start with this. I've had the opportunity over the last week to really get out a little bit more and talk to all of you. I said this before, I'll say it again. You guys are amazing. I'm truly just in awe of the work you're doing, the commitment. Clearly this is a scary time, a tough time for everybody, not just here at work, but as you go home each day, see what's going on in our world. But your level of commitment is just incredible, professionalism everywhere I go, so thank you so much for what you're doing. So just to give you an idea where we stand, so as of this morning we have 20 inpatients, had 20 on Friday, 20 again this Monday, so have remained relatively stable. Just to give you an idea of what we're seeing throughout the community, both MUSC and Roper, just over 100 inpatients. Trident is in the 80 patient range between their Somerville and their Trident campus. And then East Cooper is a little bit lower than us, about 10 patients give or take from day to day. So we really have remained relatively stable. However, you plan for the worst and hope for the best. So we are preparing for continued increases. We hope that doesn't happen, but we are ready if it does. In terms of our employees, we have 22 positive employees right now where we are tracking them daily, talking to them, making sure they're okay. They're all at home right now, so they're doing well, probably not pleasant, but they're doing well, and we continue to work with them. We've really enhanced our testing capabilities here, so we're able to test more quickly. You guys have probably heard about how long tests are taking, not just across the state, but really across the country. And I think we're very fortunate here to have testing capabilities where we can do some same-day tests, rapid tests for certain instances, and then we can get additional tests back that we send off to our Columbia VA, who has some additional testing capacity, and get those back pretty quickly. So we're able to get those tests back quickly. So our numbers certainly are much higher than they were a month ago, but we've remained relatively stable, but are planning, unfortunately, for continued increases as we see those across our country. So let me talk to you a little bit about those plans again. I've talked to you before about them, but just to update you. So we have moved in the direction since the last time I talked to you, bringing on additional beds for what we call surge capacity, just to make sure we're ready for that those additional numbers that we expect to see in terms of inpatients. Just an incredible story, and I think it shows who we are as a VA organization. As a large VA with VAs all over the place, we're working closely with other VAs, and this past week we transferred our CLC patients, some of them to the Dublin VA and some of them to the Augusta, Georgia VA. Did that for a couple reasons. Number one, to make sure those nursing home patients obviously are more vulnerable to this disease than others. We've heard about what's happening in nursing homes across the country. Wanted to get them to a place that was a little bit safer in terms of space and in terms of prevalence of positive COVID patients in the community. And number two, we wanted to move them to another location temporarily so we could have those CLC beds available to us if we needed acute care beds. So thank you to all of you that worked through that process. So many of you did that, from clinical staff to supply staff, engineering staff, biomed staff that got those CLC beds ready. So this morning we transferred the last few patients to those other facilities, talked to the families, talked to the patients. They understood the need for us to move them to the other facility temporarily. And we are working right now over the next couple days to outfit our CLC to be able to take med-surg patients if we had to move patients into that area. So thank you for that. It's been an incredible process to go through, and again, I'm amazed by the ingenuity and everyone's ability to step up in a time like this and take those kind of actions. We are also planning potential for additional beds, additional locations where we could open beds, including ACC, PACU, even our GI procedure rooms. We're not there yet. but we want to make sure we're ready if we need to open additional beds. Same thing with ICU, looking at potential for opening additional beds to expand ICU capacity. Right now, we have plenty of bed capacity with those surge beds that we have planned out to handle all inpatient care that any projection that we've looked at tells us that we may need. You never know what's going to happen, but we think we're in good shape there. So thank you to all of you for that. Testing, I mentioned we're in good shape there. Ventilators, everyone heard a lot about ventilators if you look at the national news. We've actually got about 60 ventilators here, which is more than enough. We planned out really starting probably 2 months ago to make sure we had the ventilators we need, and we think we're in great shape there, to the point where we may even have enough ventilators to help other hospitals if we need to do that. Talked about the CLC patients, and thank you to all the CLC staff and everybody that made that happen. And again, a special thanks to the Dublin and the Augusta VAs for working with us to get those patients transferred. We also are working closely with our community and looking at both acute care hospitals. I mentioned them before, some of the big hospitals that we work with, but we are working with our state veterans home, Veterans Victory House in Waltersboro. We're working with them. We're working with all of our contract nursing homes just to make sure that our patients that are there are safe. We've taken a couple of admissions from those different places and just working closely with them to make sure they have the support that they need. So this is really a community affair. This is not just our VA taking care of us. This is us working together with other hospitals, nursing homes, and us planning together and talking and sharing ideas, and in some instances sharing resources. So it's been an incredible thing to watch across our community. The last thing I want to talk about, and we've talked about how we sent out a message and ask you all to submit questions, and I've got a few of those questions to go over with you this time, and we'll ask that you continue to submit those questions that you have. First question, how are we monitoring clusters within Ralph H. Johnson of positive employees, and are we networking our positives with other hospitals in the community? So one thing that we did here about a week ago is set up a contact tracing team. Thank you to Kim Binke, our manager for our nurse navigators, and Sherry Jones, our chief nurse of operative services, for helping us stand up a contact tracing team. So whenever we have a veteran or an employee that tests positive, we've got to go through the process of seeing who they came in contact with, again looking at the definition of exposure within 6 feet without protection, with a mask, etc. We have a contact tracing team that is now helping us go through and look at those contacts and figuring out what we need to do to make sure those staff or patients that came in contact with someone that has tested positive, that we manage those instances appropriately. So we absolutely do have a way to identify where an employee or a patient was positive, what those clusters are, and take appropriate action there. We're also working very closely with our community hospitals. I know we have a lot of employees that may work at other places or have contact with people that work at other places. So we're working closely with those other hospitals to share information without violating anybody's privacy, but really to make sure that we are working together to make sure all of us are safe. The second question is related to this process and submitting questions as you have them when it comes to this, our response to COVID. We do have this process where you can submit questions to me so I can answer them on this call. I would encourage you to continue to work through your supervisor, your service chief, to submit questions, ideas that you have. You guys know, and you've heard me say this, that what makes this hospital great are the high reliability principles that we've focused on for years. Deference to expertise. You guys are the experts. You're on the front lines. You see what's going on. You see what we need. You see the questions and things we need to address if there are concerns. The process to do that is really through your services. Clearly, we are all running around and we want to make sure communication flows appropriately. So I would really encourage you to continue to submit those ideas, those questions through your supervisor so we can track those and make sure that you get answers back. We want everyone to feel safe, feel comfortable bringing those ideas forward. That's how we get better, is hearing from you all, hearing those incredible ideas that we've used throughout this event to get better. So that's who we are. That's who we are to make sure that we are always improving and always looking at ways to work together. So thank you so much again for all you do. We'll continue to do these updates. We're going to try to get out and about a little bit more for future videos to show you what's going on throughout the hospital. But thank you for the incredible work you're doing. Stay safe, and look forward to talking to you again soon.